So, someone asked me the other week in the comments section. They said, was it true that Paul Sykes attacked the filmmakers when they were filming Paul Sykes at Large back in the back end of the 80s, and it was released on December the 4th, 1990? Yeah, in actual fact, the answer to your question, mate, is it was true. So, the thumbnail to this video is myself and the filmmakers Roger Greenwood and Nick Lord. So I met them in, oh God, uh, 2015. So what's that, like 7 years ago now? And I met him in the Majestic Hotel, which is probably the plushest in Harrogate. And the reason being was that was where they met Paul Sykes when they were making that iconic documentary. And yeah, answer your question, mate, is one day when I won't reveal which one, but one of them, you know, wasn't doing what Paul wanted, and he just basically lashed out, hit him in the belly, So reason being, he said there was no bruises. Obviously, them guys, they aren't kind of fighters or nothing, and he actually admitted to me. He said he just dropped me to the floor, and it was just never really spoken of after that. But as you can imagine, with dealing someone with as difficult and as volatile and outright dangerous as Paul Sykes was, then I think the makers, well, they told me the scene in Endgame, so they've produced at the end one hell of a documentary which has been seen now by millions of people. So if you've got to make an omelette, you've got to break a few eggs, and you're probably going to have to take a few lumps and bumps along the way. But in actual fact, so what you're watching on YouTube was 56 minutes. That documentary, so there was between 20 and 30 hours of footage shot for that Paul Sykes at Large documentary. And one of them said, I do know there's footage never been seen, which I do think will come public once the film and the documentary's out. Money talks, doesn't it? But they did invite me to their home, and they said, look, we've got certain amount of footage. We'll never release it, but if you come to my home, I'll show you it. So there you go. So yeah, the guy who was asking me a question, was it true that Sykes actually beat up one of the filmmakers, was actually true. And there was another guy, so it was filmed by Nick Lord and Roger Greenwood. And the cameraman was called, the name does escape me, but his first name was Mustafa. And Sykes basically branded him Mustafa Have a Camera. Mustafa Camera, that's it. It was this kind of sense of humour. But and that was started filming in 1988, and it was first aired on Yorkshire Television in December the 4th, 1990. So, I think it took about 18 months to make, 6 months of, kind of editing. And, I didn't actually ask him, but when he was telling me the story, he more or less said, look, taking a blow to the belly and winding me was probably worth, I dare say, I've never really looked into Roger Greenwood and Nick Lord's career that much, but I maybe think, I struggle to think they were involved with anything as iconic as that documentary that they shot. So, and they did tell me, they have over the years spoken to some very important people, such as Robbie Williams, Ricky Gervais, and they all said, wow, what a documentary, So Jamie Carragher, he's another one, absolutely obsessed with it. So there was a few tales that I got out with them that evening when I spent them just back end of 2015, so that's what, 7 years ago now. I actually had the meeting with Paul's only sibling, and he actually brought a few memorabilia along, some pictures, and Top of my head, I'm trying to think. He actually still has to this day the program for the evening on the Lupset Boys Club in the Lupset Workmen's Club, which is on the documentary. So it was nice, and it was it was nice to pick the brains of the people actually behind that film. But yeah, in actual fact, Sykes did hit them actually more than once. There's a story. I won't name the person. He's a guy in the limelight, and Sykes actually made him smuggle cannabis into Nottingham prison. Um, I say smuggle, but he told me that the screws were aware, and they said that basically a stoned Paul Sykes was more easier to deal with than someone agitated, because you stopped him getting his weed in. Um, but yeah, I think when the film comes out and the documentary comes out, I think a lot of the people who have kind of laid quiet will actually come forward, and I mean hopefully it'll be even part of the documentary. But yeah, that story of Sykes hitting people whilst filming is very true.